Hello, we're live. I'm doing a short stream tonight. It was not planned, but while the kids are going to sleep and falling asleep, I'm gonna try to work on something, on an idea that I've thought about today. So it's gonna be a shorter stream and maybe a weirder one because it was not planned, but we'll see where this goes. No, Ase Express, no. We're watching it on Antenna Play after the show is done on the TV because we don't like the commercials, and it's better to pay €4 or something for Antenna Play and watch whenever we want. Okay, basically what I am trying to do tonight is to work on something that copies the transactions from the blockchain to our database. So we're always gonna have a copy locally, and we are not gonna query the Elrond gateway so much, so we're gonna query our database. So let's see how to start this thing. I think the first thing we need to do is to go into our code, pay for space, and create a new model, create a migration with it, and maybe let's call this, let's see the current table. So reservations, let's make a model called transaction. This is gonna create a migration too. So let's jump into this one. We have the ID and the timestamp. Oh wait, yeah, live stream. It's better to see what I am doing. So we are creating a table called transactions. Let me make this smaller and in the same time a little bit bigger for the stream. So we are making a transaction. Let me take a look at this. No thanks. Let's take a look at what do we have in the JSON. So we have a hash, a fee, I'm thinking about keeping the status and the data. Yeah, let's keep the status, data, and the hash, and the other things we're gonna keep in a JSON column. So let's do that. Let's make this smaller, and so we're gonna create an ID. We can keep that. Next we make a table string called hash that is not nullable. This is gonna be unique too. So okay, next. Oh, hello Florin, I'm honored to have you here. So we're gonna create a table now. I forgot what I have to do because Florin is here. Hello. So I'm gonna create another Yeah, for the value. Big unsigned big integer. Okay. It's going fine. I had an idea today for this app that I'm building, and while the kids are going to sleep, I'm going to work on this. So this is the value. So I need the hash, value, and data. That is gonna be a nullable string. Data. This is. I'm using MySQL. I've thought about using PostgreSQL, but basically you can run anything. You just change the driver and run the migration again. Yeah, I'm going to sleep soon, so it's gonna be a shorter stream. Thank you, Florin, for popping in. Yeah, I have this. Where is it? This is how I can focus on the code. And of course, I need to make the font bigger. Something like this. Okay, let's see. Hash value data. Good night, Florian. Thank you. Data, and the rest of the information can go in a JSON column. Let's call this object. Okay. Let's run the migrations. Okay, so now if we refresh here, we have a table. This is okay. ID hash value data object created that. So now we have to create a new console command. So let's see how we can do that. Artisan make command. I guess this is it. Now we have to provide a name. So this name will, let's think about the name. So sync blockchain transactions. I think this would do it. Now let's see the command in the code, which is here. And the signature is the name of the command when you call it in the console. So let's call this sync blockchain transactions. Let's put an empty description for now, and let's see if this works. Info hello. Let's maybe increase the font. Okay, so let's see now. If we call artisan, we have our command here, and now if we run artisan and the command signature, we got hello. So this works. And now what we have to do is to copy this Let's see how we did it with the other. I think we have to rename the first key to Elrond Gateway, and this will be Elrond API. This will be the base URL. And now let's see where do we use this config key. Only here, so that's good. We will rename to Elrond Gateway. Okay, this will be Elrond Gateway too. So we have those. Maybe we can take that from the Elrond Gateway URL. By default, we're gonna have this. Now, environment Elrond API URL. We're gonna have this as a default. So we have those configured. We can change them with an environment key. Okay. And now we can use this new config key in the command we have. We're gonna work in here. Let's see. First thing I do is to remove all this nonsense, because I know what they do. They just make the class bigger. Okay, so in here, let's first test if this works. Response equal to HTTP. I think it's a GET request. Next, we're gonna build the URL in here and pass it here, and the URL will be config pay for space Elrond API. Let's see. Yeah, we have a trailing slash. So in here we're gonna call transactions this thing, and let me check the signature of this command. Query. So yeah, in here we pass the query parameters. Let's see those. From we're gonna get from 0, let's say size, how many transactions do we need? Let's say 200. Next, the receiver will be the one we configure in the this address. Next, the condition, not sure what this condition is, but it breaks without it, so should. This looks weird. And the fields, and we're gonna pass, we need those fields. And we also have before and after, but we're gonna leave those commented for now. Now we'll say data is response JSON, and we're gonna dump this data. Let's dump it. Okay, look at this. We have the transactions. Basically, now let's see, what do we have to do now? We have to loop through each of those transactions. Okay, we're gonna check first of all. Let me think about it. We need to think about our query. So let's do some magic with this first. We're gonna need all the transaction hashes. So hashes equal to collect data, then map each thing this is called takes hash. Now if we're gonna dump this, and let's not forget to say to array, now we're gonna have an array of hashes, and we do. Next, we're gonna select our local transactions where let me check. Not sure what's with this. It detects something uses Ruby in here, but I don't think anything uses it. Basically, this should show only if you're in a Ruby application, but somehow the plugin is broken. Okay, so we have the hashes. Now we're gonna get our local transactions. So basically what I'm trying to do is query and see if we have the transaction locally. We won't do anything in the for each, but doing it this way in batch is better than checking in the loop and doing a query for each of them. So basically I'm gonna have a single query for all the, how many are there, 18 transactions, and then in the for each I'll know if we have that transaction without making an extra query. So let's say local transactions equal to transaction, then we're gonna query this thing where in then transaction, how do we call this, in here. So we have hash where in hashes, so any of those that we get from the API get, and then we're gonna get only the ID and the hash, let's say like this, and then let's dump this too to see. It's gonna be of course an empty array for now. Yeah, an empty collection, but I think this will work. So basically now we loop through each of the data as transaction, then we're gonna check if local transactions first function element hash equal to transaction, how is this called, takes hash. So basically, if we have an item with that transaction locally, we're gonna continue. We're not gonna do anything. If we don't have it, then we have to create a new transaction. And first of all, let me call IDE models. Of course, this is not saved. Models. Yes. Okay. Then meta generate to have nice code completion in here. So create, then we're gonna say the hash is transaction takes hash, because this I know the name. Then what do we have in here is transaction value. Okay, transaction value, hash value data. Next will be the data, and this we have to wrap in an isSet check. If transaction if you set transaction data, let's see in here. So basically data is sent only if data exists on that transaction. So if transaction data, then we're gonna set base 64 decode transaction data. Other than that, we're gonna pass in null. Data, and the object will be the whole transaction. I think this works for now, but we have to go into the model. We have to say protected cast equal to object equals to JSON. Okay. Anything else I should know? And let's put a thing in here. Keeping transaction. Let's assign this to a variable called local, and then local dash ID. Skipping transaction number. Okay, so the first time we run this thing, it will create transactions in here, but it doesn't. So what's wrong? Oh, I ran the wrong command. Yeah, we have 18 transactions now in the database. And now if we run it again, we see those 18 transactions are skipped. And now we have the data too, where we have those. Okay, this is good. The only thing I'm thinking about, let me delete all this data, and I think I have a lot more information in here. Transactions, but I'm not sure I need those. So let me think. Elrond API, REST API. I'm thinking, that's what I'm thinking about if we need to keep those informations too, but I'm trying to see what do we have in there. So we need to call this URL transaction/transaction hash, and let's see what do we have in there. So let's comment out this thing here, and then we're gonna do another information response equal to http get config pay for space Elrond gateway. What was the URL again? Transaction, and then the transaction takes hash. Let's see what do we have in here. We have a lot of information in here, which maybe we could use in the future, something like the signature, the block hash, the timestamp, the status. So maybe it's useful to keep those two, just to be future proofed. Of course, we can build a migration in the future to assign those, since we have the transaction hash, and we can add them after this, but yeah, better safe than sorry. So let's say transaction is information response, and then let's run this thing again. It worked. We have, but we need only the data in there, so let me delete those things and just data, and let's put an information in here, copied takes hash locally, and then this will be transaction takes hash. So let's run this thing again. We have everything now. Okay. So everything seems to be working okay. I'm thinking if we should keep the value. Yeah, I don't like that. Look at those ugly zeros. So let's delete everything, and see, we have to, so the value, let's look at this component. is, let's put this in the config file. So division number. So this will be this huge number. I don't even know how to read it. I think it's available on Windows too. Let me check. It's the Table Plus. Table. I know they have a beta version for Linux, but Table Plus. Yeah, I've used AD SQL too, but it's uglier than this. Yeah, they have a Windows. This is a paid app. You can use it for free, but it's annoying because it allows you only 2 connections and to open tabs. And if you, for example, try to open 2 tables, at the third one you'll have a pop-up and says you have to buy to have 3 tabs. So it's annoying, and I'm paying for this application, that app, which is a thing on Mac OS. You pay a membership. I think it's something like, I don't know, it's not very expensive. Their site does not work. It's something like 10 euros a month, and you have a lot of programs and tools that you can use included in that membership. So this is cool, because otherwise it costs $70 just for this software. So setup is really cool. So yeah, you can use it on Windows too, and you can use it for free if you are not annoyed by those pop-ups. It's something like Sublime. You know Sublime? It's basically you have to pay for it, but it works. You just have those annoying pop-ups in there. Let's see where we were. Okay, so we have this division number. I used Sublime a lot too. So when I started working as an employee, I used Sublime in 2012, maybe for 3 or 4 years. Then I switched to PHP Storm, and then after a few years VS Code appeared, and that changed everything. Changed everything. Okay, so we have this division number. We're gonna say this should be divided by the config division number with 2 decimals. I don't think I'll ever need more than 2. So let's rerun this thing. Now this one. Of course it won't work, because we have a big integer. Let me think about it. So I think I'm gonna have to let's see, delete everything, delete this bad boy, this. Okay, so we're only gonna say dump this thing. Let's say so 0, 0. Okay. You know what? Let's keep it as they give it to us, and when we query for it, we're gonna multiply by this big number, and this will work. Okay, so we're gonna keep only this. We don't need this. Okay, let's re-import everything. Okay, so this works. But look at those big numbers. I don't like those, but we'll work with that later, so we don't mess with those now. So now we have this working. Basically what we have to do now is to make this process work forever. So we're gonna say while true, run this thing, then sleep for 10 seconds, and before starting it, we're gonna say info checking for new transaction. Okay, and now we're gonna comment out this thing because we don't want to see it forever. So maybe let's only let's comment it for now. This will now run forever, so this will be a process in the background that checks for something like long polling, because Elrond does not have something like WebSocket, not WebSockets, how webhooks. They don't have that. It would have been awesome to have webhooks, and when you have a transaction, hey, here it is the new transaction. So we have to poll it. So this would work. Let's, out of curiosity, delete maybe the last one. It will create it now. Yeah, so this works. So basically this will be in the background always. And now in here we're gonna change how we, so in this component we'll hit our database. We're no longer gonna check the Elrond gateway. So this is something we can do, but I was thinking to make this to work either way. So maybe you install this in a server where you cannot run processes in the background like this, and maybe this should work too. So let's make this to be configurable. So we are gonna enter a new configuration key, and this will be called checking method. Okay, and we're gonna create a new enum for this, so we are gonna have a strongly typed checking method. This class will be checking method, and this will be local or gateway for now, gateway or local, and by default we're gonna use checking method gateway. So we're gonna use this, but we are gonna allow to change it checking method. So we can now go into the env file and specify right here that we want to use checking method local, and now we're gonna change the component to work with both methods. So we're gonna keep this, and this d1 will be, let's extract this to a new method, extract method get d1, and in here we're gonna extract it again and call get gateway transaction. So this will be always this, but if config pay for space checking method is equal to, let's do triple equals to checking method local value, then we're gonna say return this local get local transaction. So okay, now we have to define this method, protected function get local transaction. This is gonna return mixed, not sure why, and in here we have to say d1 is equal to transaction where data like, and then we're gonna say this transaction description, and then anything after this, so it can be the description and anything like that. If so query this, okay, and now where the value is we don't need to check the value too, so we're gonna say first. And we can just return this, so this is a much shorter version What's wrong with this? Okay. This is gonna return null or transaction. Okay. Get local transaction. Where do we call this? Here. Okay. And in here we already check if this is truthy. So okay, transaction object is gonna be equal d1, and in here the only difference is if we're gonna have the checking method to local, then we're gonna need the one object. Other than that, we're gonna need the d1. Okay, I think this should work out of the box with these changes. So maybe let's test this. Let's see. So we're gonna reserve this spot for 5 days, one Elrond. Then we need to go to DevNet wallet, access existing wallet. Let's find my file. This will be sender. Okay, let me check for the password really quick. Okay, DevNet sender, copy password, paste. And now we are ready to send this. So okay, we have this. So let's start the service that syncs, and now let's send the amount. We're gonna send one, and data transaction details needs to be this guy. Send, confirm, processing transaction. Let's see, we should have something new in here. Yeah, we do. Look at that. And now in here, what's wrong in here? So let's see. We have this thing. What's this? So order by ID. Yeah, we have this, but somehow it's not working in here. So let's see. Network. Do we have errors? We don't have errors in here. So we have to see what's wrong. Let's open the array debugger thing. This is one of the greatest inventions for Laravel, and not only Laravel. You can use it in any PHP project. So let's say this array so we have this. So we have something returning. Not sure what's wrong then. So let's see, 1. So this is 1, and oh, so we're checking for the receiver. Oh, I bet this is the reason why it doesn't work. So let's say receiver, but we have to basically check again. So if this is local, then we're gonna check that in a way, otherwise check that. And let's say array the one object. Let's see, what do we have in here? Transaction, and we need the receiver. So we're gonna say if this is local, then we're gonna say array get the one, we have this thing, the one object, transaction dot receiver. Where are you, receiver? So we're gonna get this. I bet by now it should be working. Let's do the whole process again, because yeah, why not? 0.5 for 5 days. Send 0.5. Let's copy this thing, paste in here, and do something else. Confirm. This is gonna copy it locally, and it works. And now we have a local copy of all the received transactions. And maybe let's check if the old way works too. So let's go in here to the env file, comment out this thing, and now it should work with the gateway method. So let's see. Let's do another box. I'm gonna reserve all the boxes in here. Reserve this spot. We're gonna pay just for 1 day here. We value our money 0.1. This will be this one. Send. So now nothing is working on the background, but the transaction validation works. So basically now we have 2 ways. I rather prefer the second method we just coded now, because the gateway only returns the last 20 transactions, and that, yeah, I guess it will work, but if a site would have a lot of transactions, things might fail. So if we take a look on the command we just wrote, we get the last 200 transactions. So this is a better solution in my opinion. That's why I wanted to have this coded tonight. Let's extract this to a constant seconds sleep. Second sleep. This is gonna sleep for 10 seconds. Okay, so I coded what I had in mind for tonight, and look at that, it's one hour, so I think we can call it a day for now. In the next stream, what I want to also code is a failback mechanism, so if the user would stay on this page and see the loader forever, they would have a button that says manually add transaction, and then they will be able to copy this hash from, I mean, if you take a look here at the transaction, you see the transaction hash, so you will be able to copy this, enter it in a box, and when you click check, it will make the checks in the background, and if it matches with what do we want, they're gonna be able to manually confirm this. So I don't know, maybe something fails and it's better to have a failback mechanism. So let me see this. In. So at least I got a follower, and that follower is Florin. So this stream was worth it. Okay, so we did some interesting things today. Thank you for the follow. I'm gonna push this code to, let me do it now. I'm gonna push it to GitHub. Pay for space. New method for checking transactions. Okay, this is pushed to GitHub. You can check it out. If something is wrong, you can make a PR for that. And thank you for watching, especially you, Mihai, for staying until the end of the stream. I'm gonna see you the next time. Until the next time, thank you for watching. Bye bye.